Hi guys, thank you to anyone who's subscribed, welcome back, or if it's your first time here, I hope you check out some of my videos. I am planning on improving my channel because I kind of suck at computer stuff. But yeah, today we're going to talk about another mental health condition called Stockholm Syndrome. So you may or may not have heard of it. Before we get started, I just want to point out a few things. I've seen a lot of posts on social media where people have self-diagnosed mental health problems, and I'm just saying, please, any of the videos I do on mental health, if you recognize the symptoms in yourself or others, go see your GP. They can help. They can refer you to psychiatrists and psychologists, and it is possible to improve the symptoms. Don't try and deal with it yourself. Also, I'm asking for all mental health videos, just please keep the comments respectful, because you don't know if someone who watches the video is actually suffering from the condition I talk about, and the last thing they need is to see a horrible comment. So anyway, with that, let's get started. So what exactly is Stockholm Syndrome? Stockholm Syndrome is a condition often observed when with abused or women who have experienced family violence, and men. Male or female in captivity, hostages, abused children, concentration camp, prisoners of war, situations where people are controlled well by their spouses in a relationship. The condition of Stockholm Syndrome is also seen in cult members or incest victims. In this Stockholm Syndrome, the victims fall in love as a survival strategy with their captors. Observations reveal that the victims seem to have a strong attachment or bond with their captors despite the captors' ill treatment towards the victims. There are some components which are observed by researchers that lead to the development of Stockholm Syndrome, or capture bonding, it's also known as, and they are as follows. So the hostage or the victim develops positive feelings towards the captor. The captive and captor do not have any previous relationship. Refusal of the captives or hostages to cooperate with government authorities like police forces after coming out of the hostage situation. And the hostage believes in the humanity of their captors. Stockholm Syndrome is a kind of mental ailment, and it is observed even if the captive is freed from the captor. The condition persists if the person suffering from the illness. So the causes, though the exact reason for the cause of Stockholm Syndrome is complicated, researchers have led to the understanding that several factors can cause Stockholm Syndrome. The factors can cause Stockholm Syndrome are when hostages feel that their kidnapper does them a favour by not killing them. This makes the hostages see their captor positively and may cause Stockholm Syndrome. If those who are kidnapped are treated sympathetically, and if the victims are provided with a good environment by their captors, then the hostages begin to see the captors favourably. Usually kidnappers are expected to treat their victims harshly, and cruel behaviour generates a sense of hatred. Well, a kind treatment of the captives generates a sense of empathy towards the captors and may cause Stockholm Syndrome. Those kidnapped or captured are isolated from the external world. This helps to make them see the kidnapper's point of view. It may also be that the kidnapped entities begin comprehending the circumstances in which the captor was forced to commit such crime, because of which the captives often help their kidnapper and become sympathetic to the captors and their causes. Often the kidnapped individuals, and in most instances women, start developing a kind of physical and emotional attachment with their kidnappers. When the captive and the kidnapper live together for many days, months, years, whatever, the two different people become close together. They start sharing their interests, and this may lead to Stockholm Syndrome. The abducted people, in this case mostly women, develops a habit of appeasing their kidnappers. Initially, a captured woman is forced to please the captor. They are imprisoned, ensured that they do not flee, and forced to please the abductors to escape harsh punishment or murder. When it becomes a habit, then the behaviour stays despite the absence of the force. When a woman is abducted, initially that person may try and escape from the clutches of the abductor. However, if the individual fails, then over a period of time she develops a kind of bond and dependency on their abductors. This often happens if the abductors do not have close family members. If the abductor has murdered the victim's relatives, then the victim feels helpless and she needs the abductor for food as well as shelter. This turns into a necessity despite there being no threat from the abductor's end. So the symptoms are showing admiration and love for the kidnappers or abductors in a symptom of Stockholm Syndrome, resist rescue attempts by the police, defend the kidnappers, try to please the kidnappers, refuse to testify against the captors, refuse to run away from the kidnappers or abductors. So Stockholm Syndrome is a condition which is developed from extreme fear and acute stress. Stockholm Syndrome is a condition which separates an individual from his or her relatives or loved ones. If a person who was earlier abducted and later released and is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, then the most effective treatment for Stockholm Syndrome is medical counselling by psychiatrists, as well as the love and support by family members. It is understood that with expert guidance, love, support and patience, an individual who has developed Stockholm Syndrome can get rid of it after a period of time. So there are some risk factors for Stockholm Syndrome. So it's a psychological condition. As far as the risks of the syndrome are concerned, however, it does not have any direct death threat. There are certain risks of the syndrome that cannot be ignored. In this syndrome, the victim falls in love with the captor or abductor. This leads to an estrangement in the relationship between the victim and their family members. Most family members do not wish their children to be kidnapped, or wives or husbands or whoever, and then or suffer from Stockholm Syndrome afterwards. Another risk factor that such syndrome has, that it forces the society to endorse antisocial activities like forced kidnappings and so on. A victim suffering from Stockholm Syndrome does not cooperate with law enforcement agencies, the police, and so on, and this leads to more such crimes taking place. So people who are at risk of Stockholm Syndrome are abused kids, abused females, captives of war, incest sufferers, criminal hostage conditions, concentration camp captives, intimidating or controlling relationships, and cult members. So that's just a little bit about Stockholm Syndrome. I was trying to research it. I've spent the last few days trying to research it, and there's not much on it that I could find. You may have more links, I don't know. I'll put in 2 links below that I found really, really interesting. So that's basically Stockholm Syndrome. If you know someone who suffers from this, I'm really sorry that a loved one went through this to cause this, but just be patient with them, you know. And I have created a mental health playlist, so all my videos on mental health are going to go into that playlist. So if that's what you're interested in, just go and check out that playlist. About once a week or so, I'm going to do a different mental health condition, and hopefully remove some of the stigma and some of the myths and stuff like that. So thank you to everyone who's subscribed. Tell me below what you think, and if there's any mental health conditions you want me to go over. So of course the links will be in the description, and I will see you next time. See ya.